And we are back. The Up and Running Pod is back. Mike and Turkey are back with you because whenever you get up and running, we're right there with you. I know we took a little bit of hiatus. I've been gone for 2 weeks. I'm excited to be back to join my co-host, Turkey. Turkey, how are we tonight?
Man, talk about an exciting week of just sports coming up, um, everything going on around town. We're both of us are getting back from semi trips. You had a nice little golf trip. I went down to visit the in-laws. So, it's been a great couple of weeks. Hope everybody's been doing well and enjoyed their weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun to be back. It's glad to be back. I definitely know I had to take some time off, and I appreciate the listeners being patient with us. So wherever you're listening, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music, we really appreciate you. If you have not caught the video, please check us out on YouTube or Spotify video, wherever you can see this new handlebar mustache that Justin is growing, which is as horrendous to even look at that I have to stare across from. I have my nice new Aaron Hill's logo on my chest after spending a round there at Aaron Hill's up in Wisconsin. We'll get into the trip, but please check us out. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, on X at Up and Running Pod. Justin's handle's there, mine's handle there as well. And please check out this mustache that he is rocking because it is horrendous.
Well, we're keeping it for a long time. So, until Alabama wins a national title, the mustache will stay. You heard it here first.
Oh, good Lord. That's a terrible thing to say because that
might get it Hulk Hogan style.
I have to look at that for a while. I might as well dye it bleach white at this point. So speaking of that, we have a lot to cover, right? So we have one of your favorite golfers is back this week, the PGA, not Tiger Woods. Mr. John Daly himself, who you swing like and play like, is back at the PGA, who has his bleached blonde hair, by the way. We also got a little bit of coverage for the NHL. NHL playoffs are on fire. I mean, honestly, the thing that comes to mind with the NHL playoffs is no lead is safe. I mean, we've seen 3-0 and 4-0 get blown. I mean, it's been crazy for the NHL. We're doing whip around coverage. You guys covered NASCAR. We're going to end with horse racing because if you heard from our last show, we talked about the Derby and now the Preakness, which is the second leg of the Triple Crown, will be coming up. So we've got all that covered for you because, again, wherever you are, we appreciate you listening because when you're up and running, we are right there with you. It is awesome to be back. Turkey, kick us off. Where are we starting tonight?
Tonight, we're going to start just a quick tidbit on the WNBA. This is going to take 2 seconds. Look, guys, if you weren't watching the WNBA, the rest of the country's watching it. They beat Sunday at the Masters. They also beat all the NHL hockey last night. Obviously, Caitlin Clark is the draw, 20 points, 10 turnovers. 10 turnovers. They figured out how to play her. Just play her tight, and she screws up a little bit. But that'll come. Hopefully, it gets better for her. But great for the WNBA. Hopefully, they'll pay the players some more. They started doing charter planes. But
yeah, she moves the needle. She does move the needle for sure. And so, I mean, like you said, talking about that TV coverage, TV audience is turning in more than the Masters on Sunday, which I find, I mean, that's just bad on golf. To be honest with you, not taking anything away from Clayton Clark, but come on, golf fans, where are you? Let's watch some golf.
Yeah. So that's a big thing there. We'll see how much it keeps going on for the season. ESPN has 40 of her games on primetime. We're going to go to the other basketball, the NBA playoffs. Denver was down 2-0. They're up 3-2 right now. Jokic is just a baller. Boston advances tonight or yesterday after beating Cleveland. And a quick Tallman's tips right here. 1 and 2, a betting thing. On Tallman's tips, teams that win the best of 7, game 5, tied 2-2, have gone on to win 81.9% of the time. And there are 2 game 5s tonight. Or yesterday, so keep that in your head. Let that go on. But there was a bettor who had the Oklahoma City Thunder to win the title this year. He also had the Texas Rangers, which happened last year, and the Kansas City Chiefs in a parlay back in 2023. He cashed out for $80,000. The ticket was worth $1.7 if Oklahoma City goes on to win. He's a single dad. If that happens, that's going to be a sick feeling. That is going to be a sick feeling if Oklahoma City comes in.
Take the money. Take the cash out at $80K. You already called 2 out of the 3. Obviously World Series winner, and I think the other one you said was Super Bowl. So Super Bowl and World Series winner. I mean, honestly, so many of the 3-leg parlays die at the 3rd leg. Cash out. Take the $80K. $80K is a substantial chunk of change. Take it. Move on. Congratulations to that guy right there. I definitely, before we get into NHL playoffs, I definitely want to dive into some of that. And I know we got the trip coming up. But the NBA, you talked about that. So Matty B's Cavs are out.
Bye bye.
Mark, the guy who was on the trip with one of the other guys was on the trip with us from this one. Not necessarily part of the group chat, but may become a staple in the group chat soon. Is a Pacers fan. The Pacers down 3-2 to the Knicks right now, and so they've got their back against the wall. See if they can get it done.
Yeah, they do. And honestly, the Knicks are a little wishy washy. They're a little banged up, but it's a different breed of Knicks basketball right now than you and I've seen growing up. The Knicks were never this good. I mean, you can remember when Sprewell was there, and they had players, they just never finished, and they're finishing now. Cleveland had LeBron come to the game the other night, and that's part of the problem. That's why they lost back-to-back and went out 4-1. I couldn't be happier. Matt Brueggemann, that's for you. As we move on to our whip-around coverage, NASCAR at Darlington, too tough to tame. Such a tough track. Ride around all day, only to have Brad Keselowski get the first win for Ford this year. Tyler Reddick went down, smoked Chris Buescher in the wall. Brad Keselowski was in third, 6 laps to go, and he finishes the race with a win. Wow, how exciting. Awesome race it really was. There was a lot of fighting back and forth, but Toyota and Chevrolet kept Ford out for all these weeks. And Brad Keselowski, who is not the top Ford driver, comes in and steals a win. Good for him. He needs it. He's part of a team owner, so that's great for him. This week, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been working his tail off to get this track up and running at North Wilkesboro. They have over 10 races going on there this week. The All-Star race is in North Wilkesboro, which is in North Carolina, and they are running there this weekend at 5:40 is the qualifying, and then they'll have the race the following day at 5:20. And we'll see what happens. Sunday night at 8 p.m. for the All-Star race. It's an exciting race. It's a short track. It's going to be fun. Old school NASCAR fans know about North Wilkesboro. So we'll see what goes on there. Good times for all the winners of the past year. And I believe former All-Star race winners get in. I know Kyle Busch will be there, and that's what I'll be rooting for.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's interesting that all the former officers want to get there. You talk about NASCAR. I missed the week where they had the closest finish in NASCAR history on the same stretch of time that the Derby finished with one of the closest Derby finishes that I can even remember. My wife and I got a chance to watch that. We were traveling, so we got a chance to watch that together, which was incredible. I was no doubt screaming at the TV for Sierra Leone and Forever Young to bring it home and catch Mystic Dan. But what a tight finish in the Derby. What a tight finish in NASCAR. I mean, I can tell you, people are fighting down the wire to get these wins. Every inch matters. It makes me think of that movie, Any Given Sunday. Who's willing to fight for that inch? One of the greatest speeches in movie history, I think, in sports movie history.
Yeah, and to be honest, it was probably two of the most exciting finishes that you can see in two racing sports. But wow, real quick, just to touch on the Kentucky Derby. It's been 2 weeks, but let's touch on it real quick. You're yelling at the TV for Sierra Leone to come on. And as a horse racing fan as yourself, who has watched this sport, been in, and is just his blood bleeds like the horses do. What was the jockey thinking? Did he not go to math class? The quickest way to A and B is a straight line, not a curvature around the freaking moon. He had it.
I heard that nonsense. I heard that nonsense from your last episode. Let me tell you, these are 1,000-pound animals. There's no chance that he can really direct him in such a straight line. So what happens is when a horse gets tired, it's called lugging in, right? And they lean to their left a little bit, which is close to the rail. And that's exactly what Sierra Leone did. He was lugging in a little bit. Forever Young, I firmly believe, had Forever Young or Sierra Leone had a clean path, no horses around them, they would have both walked down Mystic Dan. That would have been an incredible finish by themselves. But they hooked up. Keep in mind, horses are natural pack animals, right? And so they like to run together. So a racehorse, you have to break that type of breeding. I mean, that type of genetics, right? That type of ingrained code that's wired in their brain where they don't want to run together. You want to run past them. And you can tell sometimes horses just can't get past that. But when they're lugging in, when they're together, they hook up together, they tend to use so much more energy. And that's why both of them could not run Mystic Dan down. But again, Tyler Gaffalione did as best as he could. Tyler, the trainer, Chad Brown, actually came on an interview and said that he talked to Tyler. Tyler wanted to go left-handed and whip left-handed to get him back going straight. but he could not risk reaching over and accidentally hitting Forever Young, because if he accidentally hits the jockey or the horse of the other horse, you are immediately disqualified. It is a foul. So at that point, you're risking a lot to go try to switch left-handed and hit him over there to go to the right, because that's what happens. If you want them to go to the right, you hit them left side. And so Tyler tried his best to do it. I think it's the right call he made. Try to win up straight up. He's lugging in, try to get the most you can out of that horse to do it. Had he brushed off and gotten him left-handed, I think Sierra Leone wins the race, but tough call.
Oh, no, I fully agree with you there. And we're going to talk a little more horse racing later in the show, but I fully agree that you can't take a chance there. You can't risk it and disqualify
You
yourself.
can't risk a disqualification.
That's not there. But we will
Second
talk about
place in the Derby is a hefty payday. You can't risk that.
Yep, and he should have been bumped to third because of what he did to Forever Young, but that's another story, not here nor there. We'll talk about the Preakness later. Now we're going to get into just a little bit of Major League Baseball, but I do want to start with, and I haven't checked it today, but Mike and I are facing each other in the
Fantasy baseball.
Fantasy baseball. So I just left
my team is terrible right now. You're talking about.
I inherited a terrible team.
I've been a juggernaut in this league for the past 5-6 years. I'm finally having an off year, and the team's coming down, but they're rallying. Look, it's still early May. The team's going to start hitting. We're just getting a little slower. That's all. Baseball's starting to start earlier and earlier. It's still colder in a lot of the places where my players play. So, give them a chance. They'll be fine.
Yeah,
they'll battle back. We'll beat you.
God forbid he drafts anybody not in New York.
We'll beat you. Come back this week. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well,
that's all my team needs.
The one thing I do want to highlight in MLB first is that the baseball has been better this year. A lot of good teams out there. A lot of good players. A lot of players you don't know are playing well. Check it out. But Skeens comes from Pittsburgh. He had his debut this past weekend. He went 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, gave up 3 runs. But he throws heat. He's good. First time out, I give him an A+ on his effort. They ended up winning the game, and the Pirates are terrible. Won it 10-9. He didn't get the win.
Do you know who his girlfriend is? And I bring this up because this is going to lead into our trip. This got discussed on the golf trip.
LSU's gymnast girl.
Yeah, so they brought up her name, Olivia something. I didn't know
Olivia Doon.
Okay, yeah, great. Everybody on the golf trip except me knew who she was, and I was like, okay, she's a gymnast, great. She's like, oh, she's super famous and all that kind of stuff. Dude, I had no idea who she was. So, maybe that's on me, but at the same time, I just can't follow. We've got so many social media influencers and people and doing this, and she's a great gymnast and she's doing well, but dude, I didn't have time for that, but everybody, Mark, Matt, and Austin, all knew who she was, and they're probably laughing at me right now that I'm bringing this up. But of course, I'm going to bring it up.
Well, the thing is to know her, you'd have to know the twins that played for the University of Miami. They get their deals, all their money from this new college thing, but they're good-looking women, and they play college sports, so they're getting money. They're social media influencers. The one thing I will say is she's really good at her sport, which also helps her. So these NIL deals are helping expose, or not expose, but get exposure for some of these other athletes in sports that don't necessarily get the money like, say, football or basketball does as far as the underhanded money. So yeah, he's dating her and had a great start for his first outing in the major leagues. Good for him in the show.
Kid throws heat. Touched 102 on his first pitch, I think he said. So kid throws heat. I'm excited to see what his career looks like.
It's tough for us to understand that, not taking anything away from him, but that's extremely rare speed to do it consistently. But nowadays, as my children are growing up, we're going to high school baseball games. The radar guns don't leave 9 sometimes for some of these guys pitching. And I'm talking 4 or 5 innings. They're throwing 90, 91, maxing out at about 95. But one of these kids that I saw a couple weeks ago is 16 years old, already has an offer at Duke, but he's never going to see that offer because he's going to sign somewhere, barring injury. Knock on wood for him. It's unreal, the athletes that are coming out of high school now with what they can do with their arms at such a young age. So now we move on to the sport that you've been excited about for the last couple of weeks. Super excited. Love the sport. Love that you're in it as much as you are. We get to talk about, but the NHL, you're right. It's fire. Right now you have 4 series. In all of them, each team has won 2 games. The only series right now not at 3-2 is the Vancouver-Edmonton series, which is at 2-2. But everybody else, Dallas is ahead of Colorado 3-2. New York is above Carolina at 3-2, and Florida is ahead of Boston at 3-2, and nothing has disappointed. You
No.
talked about the 3-0, 4-0. Colorado went down 3-0, came back and won in game one. They went down 4-0 in game two, came back and almost tied it up at 4-3. This was the loss, but hey, you want to talk about some stuff going on.
Oh,
What's been your
man.
favorite so far?
So I think just that no lead is safe, right? So every NHL game, I think a lot of times during the trip or when I was traveling, you'd watch a game, it's 3-0 in the first, and you're like, man, that's gonna be a blowout. But you put it on. I was unpacking in the hotel and getting some things together, and all of a sudden it's a quick 3-2, and you're like, wow, it's gonna be a good game. And no lead was safe. I mean, honestly, the Dallas Colorado series has been a dogfight of a series, and so that's probably my favorite part. I think Edmonton power play. One of the guys in the the group chat, shout out to Austin, said that Edmonton's power play is electric. It's almost like a cheat code, I think is what he said. Where when their power play is up, they're almost scoring almost every time. I think they're in the 80s or something like that. He was saying that they score. Connor McDavid is an electric player. I mean, you talk about hands for days. The kid is quick. He's nasty with it. Leading the playoffs in points. Shocker there. And he does a lot of it with assists. I mean, he honestly sets up his team so well. So that's an exciting power play to see. But I think what I was really excited about watching Igor stand on his head as a goalie. I mean, what a performance he's put on. And then he slips a little bit in game four because they went up 3-0. Game four and game five, he gives up three. They lose 4-1. He gives up another. I think he gives up three again. They lost 3-1. So, or vice versa. But they lose back-to-back games, and we'll see what happens. I mean, Carolina's been playing well. I think the Rangers do bounce back, but I saw a stupid quote that I think is just ridiculous. They said, we needed this. We needed the loss. When do you ever need a loss? If you're a competitor, I don't ever need a loss. I don't want to lose. I hate losing. I think PJ said it best that the pain of losing is far greater than the joy of winning. And so I can tell you, I can't stand losing. So when he says, like, we needed a loss, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
And who said that again?
It was one of the Rangers players says like they
Yeah.
needed to lose, and I'm like, what?
Well, apparently they
When do
need
you
to
ever
lose
need
too.
to lose? When do you ever need to lose? No one ever needs to lose.
And I know Tallman is sitting at home going, "This is about the dumbest shit I've ever heard." And
Well, he's probably getting mad because I talked about how good his Rangers were, and now all of a sudden they're hoping
3-2.
to get out. Yeah, they're hoping
3-2.
to get out against Carolina. So we'll see. But also, how about the other side of that conference? Boston and Florida.
Yeah,
That's been a shocker. So Boston goes up, Florida runs off three straight. Boston looked well in advance of game one. Looked, they had it in hand, and then now they've lost three straight. And then they win game five, so they're down 3-2. Florida's looking to close that out, and I can tell you, Florida's a good team. I mean, Boston's a very good team as well, but I think Florida has been playing well lately. They have the momentum. They just seem to have Boston's number, whatever it may be. Florida just has Boston's number, and we'll see.
yeah, you can't deny that. I mean, really, the tough thing is we go on about every series, right?
Sure.
No series has had my focus as much as obviously Colorado and Dallas. No series has had necessarily the breaking news that came out the other day before Game 4 for Colorado. One, they lose Devin Toews for the night, and then Val Nichushkin is out, suspended 6 months without pay for breaking the drug policy again. So now he's at the player help group, which is fine. Like, I want the guy to get help, and it's been a lot of nastiness going on. But at the same time, it's like 2 years in a row, bro. Last year was a woman, possibly a hooker and some cocaine. Now it's cocaine, and it's like, dude, just like get through the playoffs and then do what you want for a month before they start testing again. As far as that goes, I mean, those guys skated in the morning with them during practice and then aren't there that night. I mean, completely wrecked them. They got worked 5-1 in the game that night. You know, that's tough. So hopefully with tonight's win, they come through and go ahead and finish the next two, win them both, and come from a 3-1 deficit and beat Dallas. But we'll see.
But see, here's my thing though. That's going to bring me to my do better segment right there. It's like you said, if you're a professional athlete and you're getting paid to play, the biggest ability you should have is availability. If you can't stay on the ice, the court, the field, whatever it may be, because you're distracted by all of this women and boozing and whatever, all of that money that you've made, all that money that you want to blow and spend and whatever, comes from you playing the sport and being good at it and being talented enough that people would kill to be in your skates, cleats, shoes, whatever it may be, right? So they don't take it they take it for granted. They're not grateful for what they've been given or the talent they've been given. They work really hard and they get to that level, and all of a sudden you want to throw it away because you want to spend it on money and women and drugs. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, like, do better. You have a responsibility not only to the organization, to the fans, but also to yourself, to your family, to the coaches that spent hours and hours training you and getting you there, to the parents or godparents and grandparents and cousins and whoever else drove you to these games to
Yep.
get you to where you are. You have a responsibility to that, so do better. Be a teammate. You have a responsibility to your teammates as well, to the fans, the city, the organization. We've got to stop just accepting this as a norm. Like, oh, he got caught up in the limelight. Don't get caught. Don't do it. I mean, I know it's very easy for me to sit there and say don't do it because I don't have the temptations that person has, and I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if you've done all of that, put all of that effort, worked that hard to get to that point, do better. Take care of yourself. Know that the temptations are there. Don't put yourself in those situations because you have more responsibilities. With great income or wealth or fame or whatever comes great responsibilities as well. And so
Yep.
people have got to take that serious.
Well, I think the biggest thing that you have to remember is this: is that the owners, the league, they pay these guys a lot of money and they don't take care of them the way they should.
They should, yeah. They
You know,
should,
you
yeah,
got to
exactly.
think about it. It doesn't matter what you think they should do or who it advises them. If you give any 18, 19, 20, 25-year-old, even 27 to 30-year-old, even a 40-year-old, it doesn't matter. Like, yes, the immaturities in the 18 to 25s is a little bit different. You might want to have somebody with them, explain to them, or help them, put in programs to say, hey, look, we're going to give you an allowance this money. We're just not going to dump $400,000 a week in your game check as it would be in the NFL.
Sure.
I mean, these guys in the NFL now, they sign a $40 million deal. There's only 18 weeks in the season.
Sure.
So they're getting million plus every week for these games. And these are rookies. So, I think that the NHL is one of the lowest paid salaries in the Big Four. And it doesn't matter. I mean, money's money, right? Like if
Sure.
if you're making $1 million a year versus a $40 million a year is still pretty daggone good.
Well, that's a lot of
But
money.
they don't give
Go a
these
long way.
guys help. They don't force the help onto them. And I think that's part of the greed that comes from the players' unions. It comes from the owners and even the players a little bit. But the players need help, and especially the young ones, especially in the NBA and the NFL when they're there already.
But at the same time, though, we're sitting here right now, and kids that are in high school, kids that are in college, they know the temptation is going to be there waiting for them. So yes, you do need help, but you also need maybe it's just not help. Maybe it's more of a mentor system or something. Because when you're 20, 21, 22 years old, all that partying lifestyle looks incredible to you. It looks like you're going to have so much fun. You're making all this kind of money. You're starting to buy things, especially if you didn't come from money, right? Which
Right.
I listen. I can understand a lot of those kids. That's where they're coming from, and I get that getting that money can do a lot and change a lot for you because we do know it can be a sense of evil, right? I mean, money's been used for evil plenty. Dating back to as long as we can remember. So I think though at the same time, we've got to come up with some type of mentor system, but we've also got to have that self-awareness. Like, listen, I've worked really hard to get here. I've done all I can do to get here. I need to make sure that I take care of myself as well and make sure that I'm staying around the right people. And so when you start going down that path, like you said, maybe we do have some mentors, maybe we have something there, but we've also got to take some responsibility for our actions too, because there's actions and consequences, and we got to take responsibility for them.
I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing there at all. What my point is okay, I understand that, but you can't trust. I mean, let's say the NFL. Okay, the guys coming out are at a minimum 20 years old. I mean, at a maximum 20 years when they get there.
Sure.
Or excuse me, a minimum. The minimum was right. 20, 21 years old when they get there. Okay, now they're of drinking age. They've probably been getting, if they're good enough to go in the first round, they've probably been getting somewhere between $250,000 to $1 million a year from college, which the college doesn't do anything about. Which I'm not for them keeping money. I'm for them giving them allowance. They're getting a free education. They're getting free food. They're getting free travel, free clothing, free sport. Everything they want is free for right now. What do you need $1 million a year for? You need maybe $1,000 to $2,000 a week, which really that's too much, and put it in an account for them, invest it for them with no penalties when they pull out, except the taxes they would have paid anyway. So basically an IRA, whatever, and then let them have it. The NFL, the NBA, MLB, and NHL need to do the same thing. Somehow give them a player assistance program for finances because they're not taught this stuff. If you think that any of those players have to sit down, the top guys that go to the NFL are going to a finance class and, let's say, elected to take it or being taught how to handle anything, it's not happening. It's
Well, no,
costing
yeah,
these
and they're not
guys.
even teaching that in
They're
high
not
school
getting
either.
an education.
Yeah.
Okay, they're not getting an education on what to do because everybody's telling them yes. Because at the end of the day, when they sign that $40 million deal, mama and daddy and all the coaches, all the reps, they want a little piece, just a little piece.
Sure.
40 million
No, you're
divided
right.
by 2 is 80 people.
Listen,
So
listen, they're getting pulled. They're getting pulled in every direction. I'm not saying it's easy on them. I'm not. And listen, they have it hard. It's tough. I mean, being that kind of spotlight, that fame, a lot of people ask. A lot of you, your time is now pulled in different directions. So anyway, I think we got to find a way to do better. We got to find a way to do better as an organization or sport, and take care of those kids for sure. Before things like this happen, where they do end up ruining their life, whether it's addicted to drugs, alcohol, or even a wild and crazy kind of lifestyle, I mean, whatever they're going to get into. So,
yeah,
but hockey playoffs have been good. So right now, who do you think is going to the cup?
Well, I mean, the 3-2 leads are really tough to beat. I'll be honest with you. It's not something that I am honestly going to bet against. I think New York's in. I don't know what they've been doing the last 2 games. The last game was pretty bad. They have a chance to close it out tomorrow night. Florida, Boston, I really want to give the edge to Florida, but I think Boston wins. They'll be at home. I think they come away with the win, go to Game 7, and honestly, picking a Game 7 is, like drawing a needle out of a haystack. Not going to happen. Vancouver and Edmonton, as much as I hate Edmonton, I really think they can pull this out.
I do too.
I think they can win it in 6. If it goes to a Game 7, I believe in my heart of hearts it goes to Vancouver if it goes to Game 7. So
I think we'll see Florida. I think we'll see Florida, Dallas in the cup. That's my prediction for what's going to be in the cup.
A lot of people are predicting Dallas. Dallas is an angry tyrant.
They see Florida, Dallas.
They feel like they have little man's disease, but they beat people up. I mean, they're beating Colorado up every chance they get. It's just their defense is really, really good. And they're scoring a lot of goals when they put out. They're scoring at will. And part of it is that Georgiev isn't that great, but I could see Dallas. I can see Dallas beating Vancouver, Edmonton. I don't know that Vancouver has it to like be a stalwart at any point. They're not pushing the puck up against Edmonton, but 2-2, who knows what could happen. But yeah, going to be a great finish to the semis, and then the conference finals will be great. And then we'll go on to the Stanley Cup. But as we move out of that, we go to another big event this weekend, starting today, the PGA Championship. We know that there's a lot of storylines right now in the PGA. Just the PGA itself. Nothing to do with it has to do with LIV, but nothing to do with LIV. They lost one of their biggest player advisors on the board. Rory thinks that's a terrible thing. We also found out that Tiger Woods kept Rory out of the player advisory board. A lot of news to unpack there, but we're not doing that. We're going to go into the PGA Championship. Mike, what do you think about Valhalla? Do you think it's somewhere that old T. Gray can come back in?
I think so. I think Tiger's played really well there before. I think a lot of guys have played well there before. I was hoping to have a chance to play that 2 years ago. My dad and I went up for a father-son trip to Louisville, and a dear friend of the show, Louis from the Horse Racing Happy Hour, shout them out. If you have not checked out a horse racing podcast, that is the one to check out, Horse Racing Happy Hour. Louis got us to get a chance to go out there to Churchill Downs. He tried to get us on Valhalla. We didn't get a chance to play Valhalla. I would have loved to have played there. But I do think the course is interesting. I do think if you're a bomber, you can take advantage of your length in this course. I think this is a course that sets up for where if you can bomb it and take advantage of your length, you'll be in position. So guys like Wyndham Clark, guys like Brooks, guys like Rory, Tiger even, because Tiger's bombing it out there. So don't let Tiger not be a bomber. Bryson. Yeah, Bryson. So you're talking about big, long hitters can really take advantage of this course. You still got to putt well, but you got to putt well on any kind of course. So I think it's going to be that. It's not going to be like a U.S. Open accuracy type course. There's had a lot of rain. I think we're going to see 13 to 15 under. I think it's going to be the winning score. I do think somebody goes pretty low. Maybe you see a couple 65s. Maybe they put up a 70 on a Saturday and maybe like a 60, 66, 67 on a Sunday. Gets them somewhere around there. So I think you're going to see some low scores. I think you're going to see 13 to 15 is my prediction. I do think some bombers are going to be up there. I think Tiger makes the cut. I think Tiger competes. It's not that hard of a walk. I think the rest and the time off has done him well. He looked like he was hitting monster baby fades out there. The wedge game and putting looked unbelievable, they said, from some of the news reports I saw. So, man, listen, no one's rooting harder for Tiger than myself. So I think Tiger does well. I think we're going to see a top 20 finish.
Wow. All right. That is some boldness there. Wow. So I like Tiger to make the cut. I'm not going to put him in the top 20 yet. Got to see what he does in round one. I mean, he's struggled so mightily. The last two rounds of the Masters there. It's tough to watch it, but I agree with you. Not as hard a course to watch as Augusta. Scotty has his baby. What do you think? What do you think are his chances this week?
Scotty's still playing unbelievable golf. I'm not going to pick against Scotty Scheffler until I see that he doesn't play well. I think Scotty's going to be a new dad. I think that's exciting for him. Congratulations to the Scheffler family. But Scotty still can hit drives, play well, putt well. I think Scotty doesn't have the nervous thinking about trying to get home and this kind of that. I think Scotty is going to be an even better mindset. I actually think Scotty Scheffler gets in the top 5 this week, has a look at winning, and I would not be surprised if he wins.
Is he going to be able to win without his caddy?
So Ted Scott's only missing Saturday's round. He's flying home Friday after the round to be at his son's graduation from high school. He'll miss Saturday's round. We'll be back for Sunday. So you're talking about you're going to get him Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. That's fine. I mean, Scotty Scheffler's a pro. He's a pro.
Missing him on moving day, the most important day of the tournament. He's missing him, and you're just going to pass it on.
I got no problem with it at all. Got no problem with it at all. I think it's going to be just fine. Still got to hit golf balls.
Let's talk about some live guys here. You've got Jon Rahm. You've got Brooks Koepka, who's got a couple of these suckers. You got Bryson DeChambeau. You talked about the length. Everything I've heard, all the pundits, the guys that talk about this stuff for a living have said the length is going to matter. Well, I don't know anybody that hits or tries to hit it as far as Bryson DeChambeau. With that being said, out of the live guys, Rahm, Koepka, and DeChambeau, who you got?
Koepka all day long. Koepka's a monster at PGA. He won Live Singapore, I think. That's where they were. Koepka's coming into phenomenal form. He's a PGA Championship, beast. I think he's one away from having as many as Tiger. So I think Brooks gets it done. I do think Jon Rahm has a better showing than he did at the Masters. Everyone's talking about, he may not have it. He may not be tuned up. Let me tell you, Rahm's going to use all that as fire. I think Rahm comes out. I also think Cam Smith has a very, very good week this week. He's a wizard around the greens. I think his short game is unmatched right now, and his putting he's one of the best putters on the planet. So I actually think you're going to see 4 live guys in the top 15. I think you're going to see Rahm, Koepka, Bryson, and Cam Smith all in the top 15.
Okay. All right. I'll give it to you. Big news coming out of Rory McIlroy's camp. He was turned down for the Player Advisory Board. He is also filing for divorce. And for those of you that don't know, the last time that he made a major breakup that was world news was when he left the tennis pro. And he went on to win, I believe, the BMW championship that week and told the field to eat it because he was that mad and had nothing else on his brain, but he went on to take care of business. Do you think that fuels him this week, or is it a miscut for Rory McIlroy?
I don't think he misses the cut, but I don't even think he's in contention. I don't even think you're going to see him fight for a spot on the leaderboard. He'll put one round in the mid to low 60s, but the rest of it's going to be 70, 71, 72. He's going to shoot one under, one over, even par, at least 3 out of 4 rounds. I think Rory has a lot more distractions than people realize. Listen, breaking up with Wozniacki or whatever it was, I think is something that he was younger. It fueled him. Rory's older. He's also a dad now, so now there's custody issues. I think the divorce is going to take way too much of a toll on him. It's way too much distraction. We can try to say he's going to play FU golf or he's going to play this pissed off golf. No, I don't even think Rory McIlroy makes the top 15. I definitely don't put him in the top 10. I think Rory's going to get somewhere around maybe him and Tiger playing together on Sunday, have a good time. They both finish around T20.
Okay. All right. Well, I honestly think that it's going to be a good tournament.
I'm excited.
There's a lot of talk of it could be a good live PGA showdown. The last 6 guys, live versus PGA guys. There's a lot at stake here for the PGA Tour. I believe if Liv comes out there and dominates the top 10 of the field, it's going to be tough on them. I'm not sure how many players they have. Maybe 7 players from Liv are in this tournament. But looking forward to it. I mean, it's another major, not my favorite. Valhalla is a good course. So what are your thoughts on the PGA as a major? And what are your thoughts? Give me your top 3 for the weekend.
Yeah, it's absolutely a major. I heard that nonsense you came up with last week about that you don't even think it's a major or it's one you want to take a nap through. Spare me with that. I can tell you, the PGA is a great major. It's a great championship. I did like the Michael Block story last year where he showed up. He turned a little bit of a villain because of the comments he said, but that's his own fault. But I think that it's a cool story to see. It's PGA of America. I think it's incredible what they do for the game of golf, but at the same time, it's been a very fun major. You talk about when Justin Thomas wins, when Mito Pereira hits his 3-wood or 5-wood or hybrid, whatever it was, in the water on 18. It makes double there when really Bogey probably wins it. Par definitely wins it. And JT goes on to win after making a late Sunday charge. The PGA's had some dynamic finishes. They also play different courses, which I think is unique, right? You're not going to see them a lot of times at maybe U.S. Open courses. You're going to see a different style of course. It's a different style of golf. Usually it's also the lowest score to par, which I like. They're going to fill it up with birdies. Who can get out there, hit fairways and greens and make a bunch of putts and get out there and really put something low, put up a 62, 63, and watch what, us as weekend golfers dream of doing, which is, shooting 63, right? So, which we can't do right now, which we're far from doing right now, but you can watch it and kind of live through the sport. And that's kind of what the sport's for. So I really enjoy the PGA. I think it's going to be interesting. My top 3 things this week, I think Scotty has a deep finish. I think Scotty also competes to win. I think Brooks knocks on the door to get his 4th, would be one as well. I think Bryson's shocked some people, and I think Bryson's going to get a top 10 finish. I like Max Homa to get in the top 10. Cam Smith to be in the top 20. If I had to nail down a pick to win, I think I'm going to roll Brooks, back-to-back PGAs for Brooks. But I don't know if you want to call it a sleeper, but a lot of people aren't talking about him. But I think Wyndham Clark gets a top 5 finish.
Okay. And who do you think, if you had to say something that's going to win it, I know you don't want to bet against Scheffler, are you saying he's going to win it? Or do you have somebody you can put down? You can give me 2. I'll take 2. But who do you think is going to be holding the trophy at the end of the day?
I think it's Brooks. I think Brooks wins back-to-back PGAs. I think Brooks gets it done. But I think that if you gave me 2, I would put Scotty in there as the other one, starting his way to the career Grand Slam. The calendar Grand Slam, sorry.
I've got Koepka in my top 3. I honestly think Rory gets it done this week. If he doesn't, I'm rolling with Thomas, and Koepka would be my 3rd. I think Koepka's got his mind allows him to play this golf course a lot freer because he has Live Golf. Thomas needs to prove himself a little more. Rory needs to win a freaking major. It's been 10 years. So I think Koepka's mental prowess should be great compared to the other 2.
Keep this in mind. Tiger has won a major before. Tiger recently won a major before Rory did.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, Tiger won the Masters, and Rory was still in his drought. So keep that in mind. We talk all about Tiger being done. Tiger has won a major recently, earlier or more recently. More recently than Rory McIlroy has.
And to that point, I agree with you. Here's where I hate saying it. The problem with Tiger right now is not that he's done. It's that he can't compete at the level we want him to compete at.
Sure.
Even if he has all the rest and all the help, his body is just not coming back to what is capable of doing what we want him to do. Playing 4 rounds at Augusta is great, but playing 4 rounds at Augusta and not competing sucks because you know what you've seen him do. It's almost like a quarterback staying too long. At the same time, no issue with your statement that he has won more recently than Rory McIlroy. The issue with the statement by itself is people think, well, Rory McIlroy's even close to sniffing Tiger's jock, and he's not. And that's where this country, the sports fans of this world want to give everybody the title, but they don't want to make them work for it anymore. Everybody, was given Tiger the title after he won the Masters in 97, and I get that. But like we've talked about, I don't care if he was given $10 billion when he started playing golf. He earned every dime. He makes it available for you to watch on thousands of platforms. And the only reason our generation and below who knows how to operate these computers and you're able to watch the ESPN Plus crap, you're able to watch stream golf on YouTube. You've got guys out there that just want to be around him is because of Tiger Woods. He has made golf all the money. Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, Brooks Koepka, Jon Rahm have done nothing for the game like Tiger Woods has.
Oh no,
And
I agree.
the craziness
and you see
about
now.
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go.
The crazy thing about it is where you and I know that, and a lot of people understand that the comparisons to Tiger Woods just it's not even there's nobody that's even come close. They've had the talent, but they haven't had the mental fortitude. And that's the bottom line. They don't want to go out there and win because they saw money. They didn't see victories. And all Tiger has ever seen, it's what he says every week before he tees it up. If I'm not here to win, why am I here?
Well, it's the same thing with Jordan. Like I think about what Tiger thinks when he's at his home by himself, what Jordan thinks when he's at his home by himself, and people start comparing them to them, they have to be going out of their mind. I know Jordan does, and I'm sure Tiger does too, because the comparisons are always going to fall short, right? Jordan Spieth got compared, Rory got compared, everybody got compared. It's not going to happen. LeBron gets compared to Jordan. They're not even close because the greatest of all time is the greatest of all time for a reason, right? And no one's come to dethrone either one of them, and no one's going to come throne Tiger anytime soon. Now, does Scotty have a really good start? Sure, but is he a Tiger? No. Is he playing? Does he have years that showed some of the greatness that Tiger showed? Sure, but we were talking about this stat on the golf trip where Scotty would have to be world number one to 2035 just to match Tiger's streak of world number one. And so you're talking about that's 11 more years he's got to be at the top of his game and be the best. It's hard to fathom, right? We didn't realize how great of a spectacle we were seeing, a great of an athlete we were seeing while it was happening. But then you start realizing that's what it is. And I also really like that Tiger is taking sort of a victory lap in this. Like Tiger's showing up the four majors. He's joking with the guys. He's goofing with Justin Thomas and Rory on the range. He's taking kind of this like elder statesman kind of approach where he was always against that. He's joking around with the media a little bit more. He laughs. He talks about he's got to go to you this week. And he talked about he's just been lazy, doesn't want to shave. Probably the same as you with that horrible mustache you have. So he's probably doing that, right? But I like the fact that Tiger's enjoying that because he's worked hard, sit back and enjoy it, go play the four majors. If you snake one off, great. I think that's awesome. I also think we're talking about how great Rory is and really why. Because yes, has he been the world number 1, 2, or 3? Does he hit beautiful drives? He has a great swing? Sure, but Rory just won his 25th event, right? When he won the Wells Fargo and I think the Zurich, well, I think, one of them maybe 25, 26. But he's only got 4 majors, right? So he's far behind. He hasn't won a major in a decade. I mean, we're talking about Rory's like one of the greatest of our generation. Why? Because he's always up there. He's had great numbers and great. He doesn't win majors. What are we talking about here? Because he drives the golf ball farther than anybody. Let me tell you, I don't think if there was an opportunity to place a wager that Rory doesn't make it to 7, doesn't make it to 6 majors, I'd take it in a heartbeat. I don't think he gets there. I just don't.
So I'm not going to compare him to Phil Mickelson because his numbers don't match as far as second places go and the competitiveness. Phil ran into Tiger. That was just it. He just wasn't that good. But at the end of the day, nobody gives a crap about second place finishes. I mean, we can talk about him all day long. We can talk about Nicklaus has outstanding numbers in 2, 3, and 4. But Rory has among the best. He probably has the same career path that Mickelson does, and he's just missing 2 majors to catch him.
Sure.
And I think that's something that people forget is that Mickelson didn't win until later in his career when he went and he could win at the Masters. And then he got a Open and he got a PGA. But he finished second place at the U.S. Open a lot and just faltered and faltered. But I think that's what his legacy is going to be. He could have gotten a lot more done with his talent. But that brings us back to, just like you said, everybody else, the Jordan Spieths of the world, the Dustin Johnsons of the world. What Jon Rahm could have done, he's still going to get in the majors for years, but what he could have done. And I don't think that Scotty's the answer. I don't care if he wins the next 5 tournaments. He's not the one that you compare him to. But we're not even seeing anybody getting close to what Phillimup did. if anybody was, I would say Brooks Koepka, but he only shows up at the majors. Granted, he won Lift Golf. I don't count that, but he only shows up at the majors. And granted, he went back to back on the U.S. Open and PGA, and he's probably going to go back to back on the PGA if he wins this year. But there's nobody. I mean, it has been. There was a stat a few years ago where it was like 16 different major winners in a row. What?
Yeah, no, I mean,
We don't even know what that is. We don't even know what that means.
And we saw greatness, and so hopefully the Big Cat's back. We've hammered the PGA golf enough for our listeners, and I think it's an exciting. It's an exciting tournament. Check it out, watch it. Let's see if Tiger gets there. Let's see if any of Turkey and I's predictions come true. Run it back and let us know what you think on X at Up and Running Pod. It was a great week, Justin. I know I was gone. I know you had a trip. How was your trip?
Well, it was excellent. Book ended with rain down and rain coming back, but man, just really needed some relaxation. Let the bones heal for a little bit. Went to just enjoyed some relaxation down there. Had some good food, had some good seafood. Really didn't
it's nice
do anything.
Hit the reset button a little bit.
Yeah, so it was nice. Brandy and I had a good time down there. The kids had a good time that went. We had Kylie and Dylan with us, so definitely an excellent weekend. You can't wait for more of it. So it definitely loved it.
Nice, good man, good. I'm glad. The boys and I went to Wisconsin. Flew out to Wisconsin. Before that, my wife and I had a trip. We got a chance to see some beautiful scenery upstate New York. We did see Niagara Falls, which, if you've never been to Niagara Falls, I think it's one of the coolest places to ever go to. I encourage anyone who's listening to go check Niagara Falls out. I thought it was one of the coolest places I've ever been. And then I got a chance to go on a golf trip with the guys. We planned it about a year and a half ago. Matty B, Austin, who you guys have known, their guest on the show. Mark, a close friend. Gloria and I met Mark and his wife on vacation. Very close friend. We talk often. He's an incredible human being. They have two wonderful kids that we met on vacation. So Mark got a chance to come with us. The four of us went out there and played. I do wish I played better. I do have my Aaron Hills logo on, which was the course I was most looking forward to playing. Got to play Aaron Hills and Whistling Straits. Aaron Hills is where they had a PGA that Brooks Koepka did win. And then we got a chance to play out at Whistling Straits where they had the 2021 Ryder Cup, where the U.S. dominated in Steve Stricker's backyard. Let me tell you, two of the nicest golf courses I've ever played. I mean, honestly, the two nicest golf courses I've ever played. Walking only, which was really cool because you hit that wedge shot on the green from the fairway. The caddy just gives you your putter. You give him the wedge back, and you walk up with the putter in hand. That was really cool. To play like you play like the pros is great. I wish I played better. Mark and I probably played the two worst. Matty B and Austin definitely played better than we did. But man, what an incredible trip. The other thing that I can tell you was it was a cool just guys trip. I was really looking forward to it. Played a lot of golf, but we also had some fun nights back in the hotel. The first night we stayed, Austin and I got in there a day early. We stayed at a Hilton Embassy Suites. My boss is listening. I can tell you right now, Hilton beats Marriott 10 days out of 7. It was a beautiful Embassy Suites. Definitely recommend it as he's rolling his eyes right now. But then we got on property in Kohler, and they really do it. They're first class all the way, man. Their accommodations, their stuff there. If you're thinking about planning a golf trip, I highly recommend go out to Kohler, play Whistling Straits, play the Irish, the Black Wolf Run courses out there. And if you get a chance to play the Aaron Hills, it's about an hour away from Kohler. Check that out as well. Some of the most fun we had, though, was hanging out in the hotel room or the little condo we had and having a bourbon and watching the NHL hockey games was cool. One night we did get a chance to finish early, do a lighted putting course, which I think you called and FaceTimed us on, which was a good time. And then we also played a little par 3 course, which I know you and I are big fans of the par 3 course. A little Sunday bag, 4 clubs and a putter, went out there and knocked it around. So really fun trip. I thought Aaron Hills and Whistling Straits really lived up to the hype. I see why they're in the top 10, top 12 every year of top 100 courses, public courses that you can play in the United States. It delivered. It's a lot of golf. I was a little whipped when I got back. I can tell you that I was exhausted, but champagne problems, right? We complain about that kind of stuff. So a lot of fun, a lot of golf. Looking forward to my next round playing with you whenever I get a chance to come play with you.
Yeah, that's going to be a good time. So I do want to ask you about something. I used to watch a show called Dumb Ways to Die. And apparently, somebody had a really close call with death at the golf trip. You want to go into detail about how you killed one of our best friends?
Yeah, I can tell you that was scary, man. I mean, Matty B's about, I don't know, 15 feet up to the right of me, and I'm on the tee box, and I don't know if I just pulled my hands in too much, caught it right off I almost missed the ball, caught it right off the edge of the club. Here's the crazy part. I almost missed the ball. I barely touched the inside of this ball, right, with driver, and it shot immediately right with a ton of speed to where we hardly even saw the ball. And so it whizzed by Matt's head, barely missed him. It freaked him out. It freaked me out. It took me a couple holes to get over it. I'm very thankful. I'm very, very thankful. Very blessed that nothing happened to Matty B. So I'm very glad that he's okay. But it was a scary thing. It was definitely a scary thing. I don't want that to happen again. I can tell you, Matty stayed behind every single person in the group when after that happened. So I understand why. It was a scary
I'm sure he didn't want y'all smelling what was coming out of his drawers when that ball went by his face.
Jeez, it was scary, man. I can tell you, it was crazy. I thought you were actually going to bring up the quarter zip that I'm wearing right now because the entire week, the whole group gave me a hard time for wearing a quarter zip and no collared shirt. I'm like, this is a collar. The quarter zip has a collar on it. If I'm not going to take it off, I don't need to wear a polo underneath it.
Oh, you went the no double collar and boo. That's not good etiquette. You played the best courses you're ever going to see in your life. And you said, I don't care about golf.
I don't need to wear a collared shirt underneath that collar. Why do I need to wear two collars?
What if you got hot? You got to take your jacket off.
I'm not taking it off. I'm wearing this the whole time. I wore it the whole time. I never took the quarter
zip off. This is ridiculous.
Never got above 60.
No etiquette.
Let me tell you, you're just like the rest of these knuckleheads in this group chat. I'm telling you, this is a collar. It has a collar. I played golf in it. I looked fantastic. Everything was fine.
Old Tom Morris is like, you didn't even have a real jacket on. You had a lightweight quarter zip.
Oh, my God. Matty B just could not get enough of me with a quarter zip and a white T-shirt under it. He just lost his mind. I mean, it's just
this
what a crazy person. So, anyway, the trip was great, though. We had a good time.
That's awesome, man. It's always good when you get to play golf with somebody.
Wish I played better. I can tell you that. I didn't play my best.
Well, that's okay. I mean, hey, things happen. So as we wind down, glad you had a great trip, man. Glad Matty B is safe. I'm sure you need to send him a bill for the dry cleaning for his shorts. We're going to move on to the Preakness. And as much as we love the Kentucky Derby and the Triple Crown itself, this is like the PGA Championship for me. I like watching it. But again, it's one of those races where I don't understand why some horses aren't here. Why did Sierra Leone not come and try and defeat Mystic Dan on another track? For me, I think if you sign up for the Kentucky Derby, a heavy favorite, and you get beat, redeem yourself and come win the Preakness. Is it going to hurt your stud? Well, not showing up shows me you're scared, and there might be something wrong with the horse. And I don't know anything about the studs and all that and what it means to the people that are buying these horses or buying the stud fees. But I just would love to see them. There is not another horse in this field that I think can compete with Sierra Leone. And I really think Mystic Dan just had a great trip in the Derby. But that's where I want to start. What are your thoughts on the heavy favorites? Not the top five, but the one that you go with, the one you dial in every year. And you're like, no, this horse right here, this horse could do it. They lose by the thinnest of margins and don't show up to race 2.
Well, so you also got to understand, though. So here's the thing about the Preakness. The Preakness is shorter than the Derby, right? And so when you're talking about it's a 16th of a mile shorter than the Derby, right? So the Derby is running 1.25 miles. The Preakness is running 1 mile and 3/16, right? So 4/16 would be a quarter. So it's a 16th of 16th shorter, right? Let's just say that 16th shorter. So Sierra Leone didn't get it done in 1.25 miles. He's not going to beat him a shorter track. The Belmont is usually ran at 1.5 miles. And so this year it's actually ran at 1.25 miles because Belmont is having some construction and remodeling done on their track. So the Belmont is actually closed this year, and they'll be running at a different upstate New York track, Saratoga. And Saratoga's configuration can't run 1.5 miles unless you make it 3 turns. And it's kind of dangerous for the horses of how they would set that up. So they're running it at 1.25 miles. So you will see Sierra Leone go to New York because Chad Brown's based in New York. Chad Brown, Sierra Leone trainer. He will go to New York and run in Saratoga, and I do think he wins the Belmont at Saratoga this year, whatever you want to call it. You'll see Sierra Leone win that, and I think he romps it. But why he's not the Preakness? So the Derby runs the first Saturday in May. The Preakness is the third Saturday, so you have 2 weeks in between, and then you have 3 weeks to the Belmont. If you honestly are going to be the stone cold favorite in the Belmont, you really think you can win that one, I would skip the Preakness as well. Give your horse the 5 weeks, freshen up, and go win the Belmont. Um, the Preakness is the middle jewel of the Triple Crown, and it's always been competed that way where a lot of the Derby horses, you'll only see 2 or 3 run, usually the winner runs to try to chase the Triple Crown, but you have a bunch of new shooters in the Preakness. The reason being is if they didn't qualify for the Derby, or they weren't mature enough at the time, they were off on training, whatever it may be, or in the case of Bob Baffert, his horses were banned and now they can run in the Preakness. You will also see sometimes that the Kentucky Oaks winner will take a shot and run against the boys in the Preakness, which happened a couple years ago when Swiss Skydiver won and beat Authentic. And so I think that's an incredible chance as well. I think Torpedo Anna should be in this race. I think if Kenny McPeak and Brian Hernandez didn't win on Mystic Dan, you would have seen Torpedo Anna in this race running against the boys, and she would have had a really good shot. I don't think Mystic Dan gets it done. I just don't. I think that you're going to see put in like a third or fourth place performance, put up a dud. The new shooter, I think the 2 horse, I think it's Uncle Heavy with IRAD on it, has a decent shot. Catching Freedom's in this race, who I think has a good shot as well. Another deep closer, though, so I'm not sure why he's in it when the track is going to get shorter. Not a lot of speed in this race since Muth is out. But I will give you that the Preakness has the least amount of hype versus the 3 races, without a doubt. But
yeah.
So to finalize your point, I think it's if you have someone who runs a longer race, a horse that can use 5 weeks to freshen up and go win the Belmont, you're not going to go win the Preakness and the Belmont. So I would take my chance at the Belmont. That's where you want to be based. That's where Chad Brown's based anyway. Take a shot at Saratoga.
So I would 100% agree with you there, and I understand that point. The heavy favorites for me are the ones that I just wish would run more. I'm happy for Mystic Dan and the jockey and the trainer. I'm happy for them. I really wanted to see Torpedo Anna getting this. I just think it would have been really cool to see her smoke the boys like she did the girls. So that's tough. You talk about Mystic Dan not winning. Catching Freedom comes off in the 3rd post. What do you think when his gate opens? Do you think he comes out and takes advantage of what he's got next to him, which is a 1 and 2 that are 20-1 odds that aren't going to come out the gate flying? Shorter run. Does Catching Freedom have a chance to beat Mystic Dan?
I don't think so. I mean, I think Catching Freedom's got a talented horse. I think he needs a lot of pace to run in. He's not going to get it in this race. He needs to be more forwardly placed. If you see Catching Freedom mid-pack, don't get me wrong, he's got a really good shot to run Mystic Dan down. But I just don't know if he has the talent to be a forwardly placed type of horse. Maybe Brad Cox changes stuff up. And listen, I'll eat my words, but if Brad Cox and Flavian Pratt stay mid-pack and come running, then yeah, Catching Freedom will definitely catch Mystic Dan in the stretch. But I just don't think it happens. Mystic Dan does have a chance to win. I don't think that he wins, but if he gets out front and stays out front, you'll see Mystic Dan win this race for sure. I mean, I think the speed can go out there and win this race, stay on the lead, get out front, stay out front, can get it done. We'll see. Your horse, Just Steel's in here. Seize the Gray is another pretty talented horse that I think can get out there and won. Seize the Gray won the Pat Day Mile. Now, that's for 3-year-olds that don't qualify for the Derby. Wins the Pat Day Mile, is going to take their shot with Dwayne Lucas in here. I think it's with a chance. I mean, I know people are going to probably fade this horse a little bit. There's not a lot of talent in this race to fade everybody, so you got to pick something. And so we'll see. The other thing that's interesting is Chad Brown sending the 8-horse Tuscan Gold here. Chad Brown, Tyler Gaffleone, who are the same connections for Sierra Leone, which is why you won't see Sierra Leone running here because, again, he's going to run the Belmont. So Tuscan Gold is a new shooter that's interesting, right? So Tuscan Gold wins in January, runs an 83 buyer, and then you're going to see them run a third in Fairgrounds in the Louisiana Derby. So didn't get qualified enough to be a Derby horse. Chad Brown obviously thinks highly of him, but he had his Derby favorite in Sierra Leone. So Tuscan Gold with Chad Brown, Tyler Gaffleone is somebody that I would consider putting in here because they can absolutely get this done. This horse is trending in the right direction, runs faster Beyer speed figures, which is just like a gauge for speed figures, runs a better Beyer speed figure, got up in the 90s. Let me tell you, ran in March, takes the 2 months off, can run here in May. I think Tuscan Gold will be primed and ready to go for Chad Brown.
All right, so you got Tuscan Gold. You've got Mystic Dan struggling a little bit there, not winning, but maybe finishing posting somewhere, hitting the board. Do you give any credence to Just Steel actually running at Saratoga quite a bit? I believe he's got 12 races at Saratoga.
Just Steel, no. So Just Steel hasn't run that many times. So keep in mind, Just Steel is going to be a 3-year-old still. So I think he's only run maybe 6 or 7 times. And so I think Just Steel doesn't have the talent to compete with this crop. No, you're right. He has run 12 times. I apologize. He's run 12 times. He's run 5. He's run 5 in 2024. He's gotten 3 seconds. So he ran 7 times as a 2-year-old, which is a lot. So he's probably the most experienced racehorse coming in here to get a crack at the Preakness. So when you run 7 times as a 2-year-old, that's a lot. 5 as a 3-year-old, you are an experienced racehorse. The problem is he doesn't have enough wins. And so the problem is if you run 12 times, you don't have a lot of wins. It's just you're not I don't know if you have the talent to win. I think he's going to be a high-level allowance, a grade 3 type of horse. This is deep, deep water for Just Steel. I just don't think he gets it done.
Okay. All right. If you had to do it, if you had to put some money on it, because we got another topic we'll get into. If you had to put some money on it, who you putting at the top this week?
Let me go Tuscan Gold. I think Chad Brown gets it done. I think he missed in the Derby, but I think Tuscan Gold's a really nice horse. I think he gets it done. I would not be surprised to see Mystic Dan get out front, stay out front, and try to win it and run it down. I would fade Catching Freedom. I think Catching Freedom's gonna be a board hitter, second and third. I think for a lot of Catching Freedom. But I would sprinkle a little bit on the new shooter, Tuscan Gold for Chad Brown.
Tuscan Gold and Mystic Dan for the exacta.
I'd probably go Tuscan Gold with Mystic Dan, Catching Freedom behind. I would combine the two of them. So 8 over the 3-5, 3-5.
8-3-5. 8-3-5, 3-5.
Yep.
That's it, folks. You want to cash some tickets, give us an 8-3-5 try box, 8-3-5 exacta box, just in case. We talked about it in the Kentucky Derby. We talked about it a lot. It really irritates me that one of the best horses couldn't be in the race. With what is going on in Bob Baffert's life, the way he treats the horses, Muth, who was the 4-post, is out. He's scratched. Really bothers me as a horse enthusiast because I do love the animals. I do. I love watching them work, the athletes that they are. What do you say when I give you this stat? Since 2000, 74 of Bob Baffert's horses have died. 3 a year.
It's horrible. I mean, it's horrible. Listen, I think he's somebody that really has kind of put a stain on the sport. You're talking about a lot of horses that have passed, whether it's from training injuries, post-retirement injuries, or maybe medication has caused enlarged hearts, heart attack, which has absolutely happened. I don't know. Here's the problem with it, right? So Bob Baffert's been suspended from Churchill Downs. He hasn't raced in the Derby in quite a few years. He's had Derby, Medina Spirit passed away. But Bob Baffert also has the most 2 recent Triple Crown winners in Justify in 2018 and American Pharoah in 2015. And so you have success. Bob Baffert has had success. He's had Triple Crown winners. It's been incredible to see. American Pharoah won the Grand Slam because he also won the Breeders' Cup Classic. So you're talking about Hall of Fame racehorses. You start taking stuff away from Baffert. Does that take away from the racehorse? I hope it doesn't because their talent is unbelievable. American Pharoah is one of the best racehorses I've ever seen. And so that's the hard part. Now, he's killing horses. We've seen it. It's been a bad thing. 3 a year is way too many. He does get more horses than most, so I can't really say that he doesn't have the smallest barn, but he doesn't have the biggest barn either. But he's somewhere around the higher numbers, right? So he has a lot of horses, so that could be a factor as well. But that's too many. It's too many that's happened. There's got to be something done. They need to hold him accountable, and they certainly are from Churchill Downs' standpoint. But what bothers me about this scratch specifically is this: this horse has hardly ran, hardly been in training from missing training for different times. Now he's quote unquote spiked a fever. He's been pulled out. The problem is this: if Baffert is still trying to dope horses and have them run away with these all-time winners, uh, something needs to happen because you're really hurting the sport. You're hurting the industry. You're hurting these horses, and he needs to be held accountable. So I don't know how we do that. I don't know the quick fix for that. I think it's a long-term solution, in my opinion. I think you just kind of I think they're trying to, from a horse racing standpoint, have him fade out from the spotlight instead of removing him. But Baffert's not going away anytime soon. Baffert always says this has been his dream. It's been his career. This is also his legacy he's fighting for too. So you're talking about a man that is a Hall of Famer. That's from his eyes being tarnished, and the truth somewhere in the middle where what the public thinks or what Baffert thinks. The truth somewhere in the middle where we can find this out. But something's got to happen because we need Baffert in the sport if he's going to do it right, and if he's going to continue to cheat and dope horses, then we need him out of the sport. The sport needs to move on without him. So one of those two things got to happen.
Yeah, no, I mean it's terrible. I really wanted to see Muth run. I know you and I have talked about him a lot, and I was super excited about him. What say you guys out there? One of the poll questions will be, what do you think the sport should do with Bob Baffert? Really get to thinking when you're listening. Fill that out when you're on Spotify. Just check the answer for us. Let us know how the episode was. You can find us at Up and Running Pod on X. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to end on that because that's a terrible way to end it. But just a thing that I found, with Muth being scratched, like let's find out what this man's done, and it's appalling. But with the excitement of the Preakness means that the man's race, the big boy is coming up. It's 3 weeks away after this Saturday. The Belmont at Saratoga this year, I know it's been shortened, but it's still the Belmont. It's still the big one where the big horses show up.
Yep.
What do you make of all the Japanese, the foreign horses being sent back after the Kentucky Derby? If they were to win, obviously they would stay. But what do you make of them not even trying for the Belmont or even the Preakness?
So I thought we might have seen Forever Young stay. I think he has the talent to do it, but you got to remember there's also monster races in Dubai that he can go running. There's also the Breeders' Cup Classic to train for, and so there's a thing where I think you're going to see Forever Young come back for the Breeders' Cup Classic. I think he's going to go run in Japan or Dubai and stay over there and then make the long trip back. It's a lot on a horse. I understand that, but it's hard to also keep that horse here and then say he's a Japanese horse because he's going to be basically American-based for a while. So the problem with that is I think the Japan breeding and training program is something they take pride in. And so I think the horse is going back because he is also one of their top horses over there. So it's like us sending a horse over to England to run in the Ascot, Royal Ascot. The Royal Ascot is like basically their Breeders' Cup Day or their Derby Day, and leaving them over there to run in the Epsom Derby or different things that they have over there in England. Some of our great turf horses to stay over there the whole time. If that happens, you're kind of missing the big turf races at Saratoga, the turf races that we have at Kentucky Downs coming up. So things like that, I think, is why they're going to bring the horse back over to Japan, running some Japanese horses, Japanese local races, and continue that pride for their country.
Yeah, so I just wanted to see them run, see what would happen. Forever Young,
you'll see Forever Young again. You'll see Forever Young again.
Yeah. My thing was you got so close. Why not show the Americans what you got? Really show what you got. Stay here.
You'll see we've got. Classic.
I have complete faith in Just Steele and at Post 7 to get his job done. That's who I'm picking for the Preakness.
Going down swinging with him, you might as well.
I know you're fading Mystic Dan, but you're picking up 8. Which I understand that. I think I think that's a smart read there. I don't trust that Mystic Dan isn't going to show up, but I don't know. Again, like you said, if he has the field around him to allow him to do what he needs to do.
Chad Brown's had success in the Preakness. I think that's another thing that I think about. I think Mystic Dan can throw in a clunker. Kenny McPeak even said running him back so early is not what he wanted to do. Again, I think their whole plan Saturday morning was if we win the Derby, great. If we don't, we're running Torpedo Anna in the Preakness, and she's going to go take it down. Because I honestly think if you ran Torpedo Anna against Mystic Dan, Torpedo Anna beats Mystic Dan. But you can't do that because you have two different ownership groups with the same jockey trainer combo. You can't. Who's Brian Hernandez Jr. going to ride? Right?
It's just like a conflict of interest for lawyers. I mean, you just can't do it. Yeah, so, that would be tough.
So at that point, I think it's one of those things where you're talking about that's a tough ownership decision. And I think it's easier for the ownership to say, hey, we need to run the Derby horse. I think Kenny McPeak can say, hey, I need to run the Derby horse because I have a chance in the Triple Crown. So that's what I think he's going to tell with Torpedo Anna's connections and get that done. So
does Torpedo Anna run this weekend at all?
No, I think she's going to run in the name of the race is escaping me, but there is a 3-year-old female race on the Belmont undercard that she'll run in.
No chance she runs the Belmont, right?
No. I mean, it's 1.25 miles. Don't get me wrong. It's at Saratoga. It's a much better chance for Torpedo Anna. But the reason I would run it at 1 mile and 3/16 is it's a shorter run. The Preakness is also favored a lot of more speed horses. Now, the Belmont's a deep sandy turf, but we're not running at Belmont this year. Saratoga is being ran where the Belmont is. So if there was any chance for a female to win it, this would be the one. I'll be surprised if she goes. I mean, it's 1.25 miles. Like I said, it's a big boy race. You're going to have Sierra Leone there who should romp it. And so if it were me and I was Kenny McPeak, I'd run in the female race in the undercard. I would pick up that check and not run against Sierra Leone.
All right. Well, you heard it here. Tuscan Gold for Mike and Just Steel for myself this weekend. Both of us think Mystic Dan will be somewhere on the board. Catching Freedom, Mike and I both want to fade him. So, 7-8-5-3 for a super isn't a bad bet. We'll see what happens. 8 horses in the field right now with Muth pulling out. So, yeah.
Enjoy the Preakness, guys. Enjoy the Preakness. Enjoy the PGA Valhalla. It's quite a scene for Louisville. 2 weeks ago we had the Derby. Now they're going to have the PGA Championship. I can't imagine what the scene looks like there. Listen, appreciate everyone's following us on X, Up and Running Pod. Watch the hockey playoffs. They have been incredible. Let's see whose predictions come through. I think it's going to be a Florida-Dallas Cup. I think it's going to be interesting to see. But also keep an eye on Connor McDavid because anything can happen when that man's on the ice. So there's a lot going on in hockey playoffs. It's very exciting this time of the year. So check those out for us. And keep in mind, we'll always have your coverage here on the Up and Running Pod. We'll got your covered from NASCAR, hockey, horse racing, whatever, golf. We're definitely going to cover all that for you. We appreciate all the listeners following us. And I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, glad to have you back, buddy. Guys, check us out. Next week, we'll have the semifinals for hockey will be over with. We'll be checking them out. We'll give you the PGA Championship review. Get you ready for what's coming out. The NFL schedule release was last night. Definitely some cool games you're going to want to check out there in the Preakness. So everybody have a good weekend. Check Mike out at M_squared11 on X, at Up and Running Pod, and at Bama Turk 46 for myself. Have a good weekend, and we will talk to you soon.